I'm losing light. Do I want to turn on the light? No. I have one light. That should be enough. I almost made myself choke. Am I going to cut any of that out? No, because we are fighting through the need to be flawless and be perfect, because that is boring. Who wants to do that anymore? Not me. Okay, so this is a general reading for Leo for the, I was gonna say the remainder of Gemini season, but this shit just started. So this is a general reading for Leo for Gemini season. Take a deep breath. Last month, I don't know what sign I had to take a deep breath with, but take a deep breath. If anything, place a hand on your belly and a hand on your heart. When you exhale, do that. Inhale slowly through your nose for about 6, I hate how this little curl looks, for about 6 to 8 seconds. Make sure that your belly expands and that you hold the breath. Can you tell what side I sleep on? The side that's flatter. I'm not editing this. Hold the breath and hold it for the same amount of time. When you exhale, do that. Do that a couple times. I say that because the very first card that I got for you is the 3 of Swords. This feels like there's a lot going on, but this is changing. You might feel really depleted. You might feel like nobody's listening to you. You might feel like it just feels like a lot has been thrown at you, and if nothing has showed up for you in your external reality, this can totally be internal. You might have just felt maybe some type of frustrations, maybe disconnections, or maybe like it's almost like it feels like an internal battle, not necessarily between the head and the heart, but it's been a lot in your crown chakra, in your third eye. If you're willing, we're trying to get rid of some of that shit because it feels like quite a bit. So hopefully I'm infusing this a little bit with some energy, so let me know how that feels. There's been a lot going on. I believe you. I believe you. And I just want to say that I believe you again. I think that your integrity might have been questioned. It feels like this is a rollover of the reading from last month. So whatever that disconnection was, it feels like some of that is rolling into... Ooh, I'm a YouTuber. It feels like some of that is rolling into this Gemini season, but it is not lasting much longer. You probably feel this ease a little bit more and this coming in like a week and a half ish, maybe 2 weeks. Whatever felt like it was eating away at you still needs to be addressed. I think that you have been trying to not run from this, but maybe just not see it, not listen to it, and maybe just like as soon as these things come up, you're like, nope, I'm not doing that. Nope. It just feels like a major like no. We shouldn't do that though. And I try not to say shouldn't, but I still use it sometimes. You don't have to run from these things or hide from the things that come up. I think that you will start to feel a little bit more like this King of Cups energy, but whatever this rollover is very much still in your present. And I think you might want to almost like turn yourself to stone so that you try to protect yourself. But please know that when we do that, we kind of just block ourselves. I think that there has been quite a bit that's been bottled up, maybe suppressed, maybe just ignored, or maybe just set to the side to deal with it some other time, hopefully never. And that stuff is going to come up if you don't just take that shit out and deal with it. So whatever that is, lay it out on the table, talk to whoever you need to, and move through it, because there's no way that you're gonna have the transformation or the healing really that's needed if you don't lay it out on the table. So work through whatever that may be for you, and please do not, it feels like, just because I felt like just now, don't hold back from whatever that may be, because I think that it's been stirring within you for a little bit, even if it's something small. Like you're a fire sign, so even if it's something minor that just kind of sets you off and it's like, I've told you 1,000 times, why don't you listen? There needs to be a shift in the manner that you communicate and in the manner that you express yourself. Because it feels like the ways that you try to communicate or try to express yourself, the ways that you have tried just don't translate properly. And I think that that might be what creates some of this like disconnection or just frustration. It just feels like you might want to pull your hair out type of thing, or type of feeling. And tarot is very metaphoric, sometimes dramatic, so it doesn't have to be anything like that heavy, that intense, that deep, but deal with whatever that is, because it needs your attention. And the next card that I got for you was the Ace of Wands, and coming back actually to this Three of Swords and how I felt like you need to set whatever this mess is out on the table and finally like address it and express yourself in more healthy manners, communicate and connect in more healthy manners. I also think that you need to create space between whatever connections, or I want to say like cords of attachment that you might have with people who might just want to set you on fire rather than fuel your fire. I say that because there's like a little evil eye in this one. I think this might be the only card that I've ever seen like an evil eye in, but there's so much around you that your energy is literally being drained, distracted, pulled into like all of these circles that you truly have no business in being in. You know this already, and you might engage in conversations that are like a little bit gossipy, a little bit petty. Disconnect from that, disconnect from whoever invites you into those things, because this needs some attention. And like, look at how sporadic everything is in this card. And this one just kind of feels a little dense. So I think that you have some type of loyalty to these people, to these situations. It feels like a lot of people, to be honest. I think you know better, but you haven't taken the necessary steps to shift whatever is showing up for you. The next card that I got for you was the Queen of Swords. This one did come out in reverse, and coming back to like the sporadic energy and things like that, it feels like you might be trying to either, I don't know if you're trying to keep the peace, or if you're just trying to maybe avoid some type of maybe even accountability. Maybe there's like an apology needed, whether that be on your end or someone needs to apologize to you, but it feels like there's just a lot of distraction, a lot of discord, and a lot of disconnection. I don't really like that. It's not a terrible card, but typically upright, this is someone who's kind of cutting through the bullshit. I'm not sure that you're cutting through the bullshit. I'm not sure that you've been able to set everything out on the table. It might just be that the relationships that you do have closest to you just honestly need like a total like a reset button, because it feels very like contractual, and it's almost like, I do this, you give me this. You do this for me, I give you some of this. And I don't love that. And I think that contractual type of relationship, I honestly feel like this is very, it's not just like, it feels like it's very familial, but I don't think that this is limited to any single type of relationship or connection. And I think that might be the frustration that you felt show up, because you're like, what the fuck? Like, I always try to be this for people, or I always try to do that. I try to keep maybe their best interests in mind, even if I'm hurting myself. I try to put others first, and it's not the same. And I think that has led you to believe that you have to almost like, it's almost like you're burying your feelings, or maybe even your truth. I don't love that. I don't love it for you, because I don't love it for you. It's almost like, it's very frustrating for me to see this too. I do have a very prominent Leo placement as well. I want to say past versions of me 1000% can relate to what is showing up here. And listen, if there's a tarot reader that tells you they don't learn from everybody that they read for, they are not doing it right. So believe me when I say I am trying to learn from this reading as well. But I think that might be why it frustrates me so much, because I'm like, oh, I remember this. And as I pull an oracle card for you, I want you to know that the people who are truly in alignment with you, and the people who truly support you, will never make you feel like you have to change yourself or be a certain person for them in order to show up for you as a result, or in order to love you. And I think that you might have been convinced that you have to be a certain person for people. Kind of like Virgos have to feel sometimes, like they have to feel like they are in a certain position in other people's lives sometimes. And please know that we have a little bit of every single zodiac sign in our charts, so there's that too. I don't say that so you can be like, oh, Virgos try to do this, Leos try to do this. Sometimes it's true, but we have a little bit of every sign. And it feels like, also with you literally being the king of the jungle, the queen of the jungle, there's a lot of pressure that you feel is placed on you, and a lot of pleasure. That's funny because I think that has to do with this card, but pressure that you also place on yourself, and it causes you to like shut down a little bit. And the way that you move through these things, it's almost like you might shut down immediately, but once it gets to the boiling point, it can turn into this. Or it could be the opposite, where you immediately react like this, to where you're kind of all over the place, and then you kind of shut down as a result. But again, please know that the people who make you feel like you have to be a certain way or show up for them in a certain manner in order for them to show up for you are probably not in alignment with you. The next card that I got for you is a rapture, sensuality, love, devotion, romance, ecstasy, and pleasure. So I do feel like this has to do, again, with your relationships, not just because of the type of card that it is, but whatever you might have suppressed is blocking you in more areas than one. And I think this was your very first card. So if anything, this is the fastest moving energy because it's already here. You're moving through this, yes, but I encourage you to kind of embody more of this King of Cups energy, because he almost literally looks like a statue, but there's life within him. There's a lot flowing behind him. You want to allow yourself to not run from the parts of yourself that you fear, because you do have a lot of power within, and sometimes when it's redirected, and I think that you know this, when it's redirected or when it's directed to a certain place, I know that you kind of put everything into it, and sometimes that can be detrimental to your own well-being, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and physically. So you want to make sure that you're placing your energy in all the right places. And with this love card, in order for you to be able to allow yourself to kind of feel, there's also a woman in here, I don't know if you can see it, in order for you to feel that depth and that connection that you truly seek, whether or not it's romantic, if it's sexual, if it's familial, it doesn't matter. That deep connection that we crave can show up in many ways, and it usually does show up in all of our relationships, but the only way that you can create those deep connections is by setting yourself free. And I don't know if you can see, but here it's almost like she's trapped, and it's like she can pull herself out. All she has to do is take herself out of this like rose petal, but the rose petal itself is symbolic of her own shell. So I think that there's a lot more to this, because this is a collective reading. I do feel like I picked up on quite a few different stories, because for some people it is 100% career. For others of you, it's romantic relationships, and I want to say for very few of you, it might be like your familial or like your friendships. But even just focusing on like either one of those, there's several stories within them. So if you feel like you need to dive in, or if you feel like you are suffocating in this box or in this shell, I would encourage you to schedule a reading at www.theholistichealer.org, not.com. Please keep in mind that I will never DM you for a reading. There are, I don't know if they're still active, but once upon a time, most of this year, I didn't break it, it's fine. I've had some impersonation accounts. Again, I will never DM you for a reading. My only Instagram is Mountains by Melody N. You need to talk about this though. You need to talk about this. I don't know why I just stuck on my tongue. We don't do that. You need to talk about this. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. I would also encourage you to maybe connect a little bit more with the energy of the Panther. That's all I have for you today. Take a deep breath and set yourself free. Thank you for tuning in. I'm trying to debate. Should I do another reading? Should I go to the gym? There's still sunlight. Okay, bye.